morning everybody, Calm Biker here. On a bit of a Saturday morning run on the Kawasaki. It's been a while since I've had the bike out, a couple of weeks. It's been miserable weather, it's been raining constantly. It just seems to be raining all the time at the minute, a lot of flooding. So I just thought I'd come out for a ride because it isn't raining. And the roads are damp, but you know, not covered in water and horrible wet leaves. Well, not in most places anyway. And I thought I'd come and test a couple of things. It's getting colder. In my garage this morning said that it was 8 degrees C, which, because it's integral to the house, it tends to be a little bit warmer than outside, so it's probably about 6 or 7 degrees at the minute, which is quite nippy. I'm still wearing my summer jacket, but I've got it covered now with my Team Kawasaki fleece that Mrs. C bought us a couple of years ago. It's a British Superbike style fleece, probably out of date now. It says Kawasaki down the side, so all is well there. Can't wear it on the Honda obviously, but I've got a warmer jacket I use on the Honda anyway, with a winter lining if I want it. Or sometimes when I don't, as I've mentioned before, I forget that it's in. But that's not what I'm testing. I've come out to test a couple of things. The first of those is some new gloves. I got some winter gloves the other day. Got them from Sports Bike Shop. I popped in there and found them and tried them on and thought they were nice but expensive, and then went home and looked on the internet for the same gloves. Found them at about half the price from Sports Bike Shop, so had them delivered for free as well. It's a little bit silly, but what do you do, eh? But my old winter gloves, I don't wear winter gloves very often. It has to be pretty cold for me to put them on. I just generally wear my summer gloves and put the heated grips on. But occasionally when it gets really, really cold, the winter gloves go on. And I've had the same winter gloves for probably 8 or 9 years. And I've worn holes in the fingertips, and as far as I recall, holes and not as protective as gloves. So I thought I'll get some new ones, give yourself a little bit of protection. But also, holes are not as warm as gloves. These are quite small ones, I forget the name of them. They're quite small ones, are just ones that go to your wrist. I don't like the really long gloves. I know they're probably warmer and all that, but I'm just not a fan of the really big gloves that end up here. Always reminds me of, not sure which sci-fi it was, I think it might have been Blake 7 or something along those lines, but really big pointy gloves. Or it could have even been Richard O'Brien at the end of the Rocky Horror Show. That's not the look I'm going for generally when I'm riding a motorbike. Not that I'm going for any particular look. I am not a fashionista. The other thing I'm testing, and this is where I need your help, is a new camera angle you may or may not have noticed. If you haven't noticed, then that's probably a good thing. If you have noticed, hopefully you haven't disliked it, because this is the main thing that I've come to test. On the last video I uploaded, which won't be the last video that I made, remember that I just nodded to that biker. Come back to that in a minute. Yeah, the last video that I uploaded was when I went to Willie Howe Mound on the Honda. And when I go to a place nowadays, like when I went to the Lady of the North, I switched the camera to standard mode. And for me, standard mode is a slightly narrower field of view with horizon levelling on and all of the stabilisation. I have the stabilisation on and everything. That means I can walk around and I can be wobbly with my shaky hands, and it doesn't come out on the video. It actually works pretty much as well as my gimbal does, to be fair. It doesn't do the clever stuff the gimbal does, but for the thing that I want the most, which is a steady picture, it does a grand job. Now, I had that mode on the Honda, and I think it works rather well on the Honda. Nobody has commented so far, at the time of recording this, that they don't like the angle. But I think that's because there's a lot of bike here on the Honda. There's a big screen, there's a lot of plastics. It's just a generally bigger bike than this little Z. So on the Z there's very little. When I used to have the drift camera, you know, sometimes you couldn't see the bike at all, and it may well be that you can't see the bike at all now. It might appear that I'm just floating along with no bike, the only thing being the noise of the bike giving it away. It's all very Superman, but I'm not sure it's necessarily makes for good videos. So that's kind of the thing I'm really testing now, is this angle okay? The reason I want to try it is it's the only one that supports horizon leveling, which is, well, it's what it sounds like. I can tip my head from side to side, I am doing now, and the camera does all sorts of magic trickery and you don't see it. So I'm wobbling my head like mad here, and I would guess you can't see it at all, because it keeps the horizon level. You might see it go up and down a little bit, but then the stabilisation takes a lot of that out as well. This bike has very little suspension travel. I'm always bouncing around like mad, and on the old drift videos you could see it because it had no stabilisation. On the GoPro you just can't. It's quite amazing, really. It's got the magic of those fairies of Willihoe Mound. Just to prove the point, I'll show you in my mirror, so hopefully you can see me in the mirror there, and if I tip my head around you probably won't even see that spinning, tilting. I'll try that again. We'll see. Probably proven entirely wrong there. But yeah, I like the horizon leveling, and with all the stabilisation, the narrow field of view doesn't really seem to cause a problem either. What it does do, coming back to that bike that I passed, I gave him a nod, and I always go with a kind of sideways nod, tilt of the head, almost a doff of the cap, but without the cap, obviously. And I did notice there were a couple of times on video, don't know if it went into the edited video that I put online or not with this mode on Honda, but I would nod to bikers. You couldn't even tell I had. So it is a bit odd from that perspective. But really, this is all about getting your feedback on this camera angle. What do you think? Is it too narrow? Does it spoil things? Anyway, so yeah, please let me know what you think of this angle. Let me know if there's not enough bike showing or no bike showing at all. Should I go back to the other one or not? I kind of hope I can stick with this one because I do like it, and because I'm rubbish at remembering things generally, it will also help that when I forget to switch between angles when I'm on and off the bike, I won't have to if I'm using the same angle for everything. What a nice man. I was coming past anyway, but nice of him to show me that he knew I was there. Anyway, that's enough waffle from me. Let me know in them there comments. Thanks for watching, everyone. Ride safe, and I'll talk to you all again soon. I think I'm about to catch that rain.